Hey everybody, thank you so much for checking out this sermon online today. This is a sermon and a message that we believe in, and God is doing great things right here in Wenatchee, Washington. If you are someone who has been compelled by this, we would ask for you to pray and consider giving financially to this ministry so that we can keep everything rocking and rolling and doing great. You are a part of this church. Our online community is just the same as our regular community. So we have pastors available for you. We've got a way to reach out and talk with you and pray with you, and we would love to do those things. One of the things that makes that possible is your financial contribution. The link is in the description below. Just click on it and it'll guide you through the easy process to give to Awaken Church. We are so thankful for you, and we pray that you're blessed this week. Have a great day. God bless. Bam.
It's just, there's all this pressure, you know? And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless. And I don't know if it's gonna stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever gonna stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there...
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing...
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
No, see, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See, you're
out.
not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just, sometimes it's like, there's this achy, I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
Yeah, that sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
Oh, come on. Ow. If you would just...
Don't.
Try to see things my way.
What's the nail in your forehead? Now, I remember as a 30-year-old, I was in ministry and just having a great time in ministry. Our church had grown. We'd gone from 1 service to 3 service. I was in a television program. I was doing that. I was so busy. We had so many people coming. I was getting to know them and having a chance to really help them in their life. And I can remember sitting down at dinner and getting a phone call. And this guy said, "Man, Pastor, you got to come help me. I really need you. My kids are, I just can't deal with it. My kids are there. It's just really, really hard. I need you to come right now." And I left my table with my kids and my wife to go help that guy with his kids and his wife. I remember sometimes at night, right before we'd go to bed, I'd get a call and say, "Man, this is an emergency. If you don't come right now, my marriage isn't going to make it. You've got to come." And I would leave my house and my bedroom, and I would go and try and help that family. And I can remember just working long hours, way too much time, and then coming to the time where I had a day off, and I was scheduled the day off. I was so looking forward to the day off. But when I went to take the day off, someone would call at the last minute, say, "You've got to help me. I'm in crisis." And I would leave my family on my day off to go help someone else's family. Now, you know what's interesting? It's really easy to see the nail in my head, isn't it? It's really easy to focus on the nail that's located in my head. But instead today, I want you to focus about the nail in your head. And here's the question: what is the problem in your life that you can't see? Because the reality is that you can't see your own nail. You may have one there, it's there, but you can't see it. What is it that is so painful? What is that one thing in your relationships that you have just put off dealing with? It's a nail in your forehead. Now, I know it's so much easier to focus on other people's nails. How do I know that? Let me show you an example of that. Here's 3 shows that we love to watch. Not everybody, but some people love to watch. They're really popular. Here's the first one there. See if you recognize it. What's the name of that show? That's Yellowstone. And then you go, I know some of you don't watch it, and that's fine. It's not a great show to watch. But I tell you what, if you do watch it, there's this gal there. Her name's Beth. She has a huge old nail in her forehead. And then there's Jamie. He's got a big old nail in his forehead. And it just draws you in. You want to see more. You want to see what they're doing because there's this big nail in their forehead. Or some of you like the drama of this show. It's called The Bachelor, or, The Bachelorette, whatever. It's not about the relationship between the two. It's about the drama behind the scenes. And there's always somebody that has a big old nail in their forehead, and you can't wait to see what they do next. It's so powerful, right? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Or how about this show? For 45 different seasons, this show has been successful. Why? Because of all the drama. Drama draws us in, and every popular show has great drama. So does your show. Your show at your house, maybe even this morning, had some drama that took place. And what does that mean? That means that we need to figure out how to fix it. What I love is that the Bible gives us such good instructions. And that's what we're going to do today. We're not going to look at someone else's nail. We're going to only focus on our own. So let's dig in. James chapter 4, verse 1. James, by the way, let me just tell you who James is. James is the brother of Jesus. Now, what I think is really kind of cool about James writing this book is that it tells you a couple things. Number one, that Jesus really was the Son of God. Because if you grew up as Jesus' brother and then you call him the Son of God and become a follower of Jesus, that means he's the real deal. Because I don't think anybody here would call their brother the Son of God. You might call him other names, but you wouldn't call him that. Because what James realizes is that Jesus really was the real thing. And now as a follower of Jesus and becoming a leader in the church, he's now writing a letter to the church, and this letter to the church is teaching them how to deal with the drama in the church. And here's what he's saying. He asks this question, what's causing all the quarrels and fights among you? What's causing all the quarrel? That's such a great question. He gets to the source. Here's what he's saying. What's the nail? What's the thing? Now, notice what he doesn't say. He doesn't say what we do. When you walk in your room and there your 2 kids, maybe you have 2 kids, maybe you have 3 kids or 4 kids at your house, and you walk in the room and there's a big fight going on, what's the first thing you say? Who started this? Right? Yeah, I saw that head shaking. Who started this? And what do? We want to point our finger at the person with the nail in the head. We want to say, you're the one that's causing this problem. You started it. But no, James tells us how to address this. Don't look at who's the problem. Look at what's the problem. What's causing the quarrels and the fights among you? So let's think about that. What are causing the fights at your house? What's the source of some of your fights? Now, let me just start. There's some good fights that need to be had. There's some things that you need to fight about. For example, if you have teenagers, and I would just say to teenagers, you guys are awesome. We love having you. You make life interesting. And teenagers, you have parents, and they have problems, and you know they have problems. You know how to do this to them, and I know that's who you are. But if you happen to have teenagers at home, let me just tell you, there's a fight that's worth having. You're going to fight about their phone. And whether or not you can get into their phone, whether you can look at the things that they're doing, what apps they have on the phone. You're gonna be fighting about their phone. If you're not fighting about their phone, that's a fight worth having. You're gonna fight about who they date, about the kind of clothes they wear or don't wear, and about the hours they're keeping, about the habits they have. And if you've noticed that there's some things that are changing in their life, you're going to call it into question, and you're going to get into a conflict with them. Why? Because you're a parent. If you're not being a parent, you're just trying to be their friend, and that's not what they need right now. That's a fight worth having. Do you agree with that? Come on, you guys. Is that all right? Yeah. Now, some of you are friends, and you have some friends in your life, and your friends have been beginning to be a little bit dishonest, and you notice it, and then you notice their habits. They start drinking too much, or smoking pot, or taking drugs, or they have a vision of their life that's the wrong vision. And as a friend, what do? You come alongside, you step into their life. Why? Because it's the fight worth having. That's a fight worth having. Or then there's marriages. Let's just think for a minute. Think about marriages. What are some fights worth having as a marriage? You need to fight about money a little bit. Because if you're spending more than you're taking in, it's going to end in disaster unless you deal with it. And so you have to step into the arena and you have to say, this is a fight. What's causing the fight? Somebody's spending too much. Let's get to the heart of this. And so there's a fight worth having. And then you got to fight about kids and how you discipline kids. You got to be on the same page. You may not, it's more important that you agree than it is that it's the right thing to do. You're going to mess your kids up anyway. Just agree. Just agree on the discipline that you're going to do, so at least it's consistent. You'll consistently mess them up. Then there's habits, and if there's somebody that starts to develop a habit that's created a problem like gaming or too much this or too little this or you're drinking too much or you're doing this too much, and there's habits, that's worth fighting about it. Or dishonesty or intimacy, the lack of or too much or whatever you want to say, that's worth fighting about. You know, I'm 65 years old. I just recently retired, and we're going through a new phase in our marriage. You know, we come home, we're trying to learn, and I'm trying to invite her more on more of my adventures, all that sort of thing. But, you know, we're fighting a little bit these days. I don't understand why she can't bring me my coffee in my chair. She's retired. What else does she have to do? Come on. Worth fighting about. How about you? If you have young kids, if you have preschoolers or grade schoolers, here's the things that are worth fighting about. If they start to be dishonest and you say, well, my kids would never be dishonest, my kids would lie. You're just believing a lie. Hey, let me give you some news. Your kids are messed up because of two people. Their names are Adam and Eve. And they are descendants of Adam and Eve. So you got defective kids when they came out of the chute. They already are messed up. Let me tell you the other reason they're messed up. They're related to you. Amen. They are your kids. And every problem they have, you created. So you just have to realize that. And so if you don't understand that you have a job as a parent to parent out of them the problems that you created, you don't understand your role. That's worth fighting about. When they have disrespect or not learning how to do chores or they have too much screen time or gaming or their friends are the wrong friends, that's your job. Parent them. That's worth fighting about. Yeah. Now, there's some things that are not worth fighting. Because the truth is, most of those conflicts are not the conflicts that James is talking about. James goes on to describe the real conflict. James 4:1 says this, don't they come from the evil desires that war within you? The Greek word for evil desires is the same word as lust. Now I want you to think about lust. Lust is the opposite of love. Lust is the thing that always takes, and it's never enough. Lust is insatiable, and whatever you lust for will not satisfy. The evil desires, this spiritual battle on the inside, it's that spirit within us that wants to just take, and it never is enough. It's the opposite of love. Love is one that is always eager to give, and it always satisfies. So he says, isn't the problem? Here's the what. The problem is that there's some lust in your life. So what's your spiritual battle? The lust is the thing that I want that won't satisfy. It's so interesting to me. I think our culture wants us to accept everybody as they are, and it's wonderful. We have wonderful time accepting everybody they are. But everybody comes to God with some lust, some evil desires in their life. And if we don't tell them there's a better way, what have we done? Because they'll never find the satisfaction of the love of God that will really change them from an insatiable lust to an incredible love. That's what our job is. There's a battle that we have to have, and the battle is this, that we have to surrender our will to God. How does God teach us in this battle? You know how he teaches us? You know how he helps us? He puts three things in our life. Number one, he puts friends in our life. Some of you have some good friends. Some of you don't. If you went around all day yesterday with your zipper down, you have no friends. Agree? Because you've got to have somebody to say, I've got your zippers down, dude, get with it. And a friend is the person that comes alongside you that says to you, you got a nail in your head. Come on, let's deal with it. I love that next week's Friend Day. I think what a great thing. Some of you have some friends in your life that have a nail in their head and you say, you ought to come to church. Come on, let's get it out. Let's get it going. You ought to be able to share the spiritual life with your friend, and what a perfect chance to do that together. Now, I think God puts friends in your life, but I also think God puts some spouses in your life. Do you realize that your spouse is there to teach you about yourself? One of the things I learned, I have one word. No one's asked me what that word is, and I'm not going to tell you. But I have one word that can spin Audrey into, oh man, she'd just spin right off. And I could time it in just the right moment to just say that word and watch her spin out of control. Because I know where her weakness is. But you know what? She knows where mine is too. And you know where your spouse's weakness is. And the problem is we don't fight fair. When we start to lose, what do? We poke them in their weaknesses because we don't want to deal with the nail in our head. We'd rather spin them out. But our spouses are put in our life to deal with our weaknesses, with our stuff. Now, there's another group of people that God puts in your life, and they're called kids. Here's what kids do. They expose your selfishness. And you know what else they do? They put a mirror up to you. And when you start to look at your kid and you see that they're having problems, just take a look at yourself. And it's painful. It's painful. The thing is, I see some head shaking there. So God puts these people in because there's a spiritual battle inside of us, because there's some lust, there's some evil desires, some things that we're seeking after that will never satisfy. James goes on to even describe it a little bit further in verse 2. He says, you want what you don't have, and you scheme and you kill to get it. Now, this is kind of funny to me because James is writing to a church, and I'm pretty sure they weren't killing each other in church. I think this is like an overstatement. He's like saying, he's trying to get their attention. You guys would scheme and kill to get that stuff you want. Really, what he's saying is that schemes are what you're trying to do to get what you want. So what are schemes? Schemes are your attempts to change someone or something. Schemes are your attempts to try and change somebody. What does that mean? You're looking at somebody's nail and saying, I'm gonna try and fix that one. How did that go with the guy in the video? How well? The only one that can take the nail out of the forehead is you. You're the only one, but someone has to help you with that. So what's your scheme? What are schemes that we do? For kids, you know what we scheme? I see some parents think, well, I'll just lecture my kids to death. Set them down, tell them, maybe they'll figure it out, and they just get bored, and it's like torture. And they put their earpods in, earpods, I don't know what they are. They just tune you out until there's some action connected. Or for spouses, some people will say, well, I'm not going to talk to you for a week, or I'm going to withhold that, or I'm going to do that. My wife, she has a little scheme. She's trying to get me to leave clothes on the floor in the closet. So she's not picking them up anymore. It's a little scheme she has. So you know what I've done? I've figured her out. So you know what I'm doing? I'm not throwing them on the floor anymore. It worked. Now, I don't know what your schemes are, but let's just say the only one that can remove the nail in my forehead is me. James goes on and says this, you're jealous of what others have, but you can't get it. So you fight and you wage war to take it away from them. So he's saying, some of you are trying schemes, the rest of you, you're in full-on war. Maybe that's the description of your household. Maybe when you go home, it's just war. Here's what war is. War is an ongoing conflict to get your way. To Tuesday, the Halloween event. It was such a great event, wasn't it? It was so fun. I was in charge of the little fireplace out there and making s'mores. And this little boy comes up to me and he pulls on my pants. He says, sir, can I tell you something? Can I tell you something? And I go down and he said, can I have a marshmallow and make a s'more? Yes, you may. I helped him make a marshmallow and a s'more, chocolate, graham cracker, sugared him up really good, sent him back to his parents. Like 1 minute later, he's pulling on my pants. Hey, can I tell you something? Yeah, you can tell me something. I'd like another marshmallow. Okay. And I said, where's your parents? Let me just make sure that's okay. I didn't see them anywhere. So I said, okay, have another marshmallow. And I looked over and now the marshmallow's on fire and it's not a marshmallow, it's not a s'more, it's a torch, I go, this isn't good. Someone's going to get hurt. So it spins off, and pretty quick, he's back there pulling on my pants. And, can I have another marshmallow? I said, no, I saw what you did with the last marshmallow. No more marshmallows for you, dude. Sorry about that, but unless you eat it, you can't have a marshmallow. He didn't want to eat it. So he just kind of went away for a minute, and then he pulls on my pants. Hey, can I tell you something? Can I tell you something? Can I put something in the fire? Okay, let me give you a piece of wood. Put it in the fire. And then he pulled on my pants for 45 minutes, every minute for 45 minutes. And he never quit. Finally, he says, can I tell you something? No, you cannot tell me anything anymore. It's over. I love this kid. He's going to control the world. I want him in Awaken, because you get him for God, man, he's going to be awesome. But I was thinking about that. That's kind of like what we are. War is that ongoing conflict to try and get what we want. So here's the question. What is it that you really want? What do you really want? Verse 2 goes on. It says this, you don't have what you want because you don't ask God for it. You don't have what you want because you don't ask God for it. You see, what we really want is something that only God can give. I'm going to be honest with you and say, some of you are counting on your friends to supply the thing that you want, and your friends can't give it to you. Some of you are counting on your spouses to give you something you really want, but they don't have it. Some of you are counting on your kids or your parents, somebody to fill this need in you, but they can't do it. The news is that only God can really give you what you really want. And that's what James is talking about here. That what's causing the quarrels is what you want. And you're asking the wrong person. So what is it you really want? You know what we want? We want help with our pain. We want some security for the future. Some are thinking about the wars and all the stuff that's going on, and you're wondering, what about the future? What if the world goes into World War? What are we going to do? And you want some security for your fears. And some of you want a peace for the plan that you have for your future, for your business, for your family, for your kids. Some of you just need purity from your past, and you've got junk that you know that if somebody knew what you know about you know they wouldn't like you, and you need purity from your past. Some of you need happiness, real happiness, not fake happiness, not insatiable happiness. Some of you need companionship, real companionship. Some of you need purpose. None of those things can come from friends, family, or partners. They only come from God. Verse 3 goes on to say this. Even when you ask, you don't get it because your motives are all wrong. You only want what will give you pleasure. He said, here's what you want. You want the things that you lust for. And lust is insatiable and it doesn't work. He's again addressing the problem. What's this really all about? Not who's the problem, but what's the problem? So the question is, what are your motives? When you talk to God, what are you asking him? Are you asking for things that are the best for the person or for you? Are you asking him for his plan or your plan? Is this really good for you? Verse 6 goes on. It says this. God gives grace generously. As the scripture says, God is opposed to the proud, but he gives grace to the humble. You know what we need to ask God for? His grace. We humble ourselves and say, we need grace. So we ask for grace. Let me tell you what grace is not. Grace is not karma. It's not karma. I had a good conversation with a young man after last service. He used to be a Buddhist, and I was talking to him about karma. I said, karma's horrible, isn't it? He says, yeah, karma's that thing that you believe that somehow if you do something good, it'll come back around to you. If you do something bad, it'll come back around to you. That is sad. Because karma is a problem. It's going to bite you. The difference between karma and grace is grace says, no matter what you've done in your past, no matter how bad you've been, no matter what's happened in your past, you can ask God for grace and he will not give you what you deserve. Amen. I need grace. And every relationship that I have needs grace too. When I have God's grace, it's easier for me to give the grace that I need to the kids that I have, to the spouse that I have. In fact, I would say every long-lasting relationship is long-lasting because of grace. Remember my beginning story, and you could all see the problem coming. We kind of sat down. I remember my wife just saying, our relationship was a pain. And it was because I was giving everybody priority but my own family. And you know what I had to do? I had to let God help me remove the nail in my forehead. I had to make a decision to put them first, to let God change me. I messed up. And I'm grateful that my wife was willing to give me grace, not what I deserved, that my kids were willing to give me grace, not what I deserved. And I know that I have given them the same kind of grace that I received. Verse 7 says this, so humble yourself before God. Resist the devil, and he'll flee from you. You want to get rid of your nail? Here's how you do it. Start with humility. You humble yourself. Help me out, Lord. You see, the devil has a plan to ruin your relationships. And so what he wants you to do is humble yourself and realize that if you resist the devil, that plan won't come to pass. Fight for it. I have some good advice for you today. Don't give up on the relationships. Don't give up on your kids. Don't give up on your parents. Don't give up on your spouse. Don't give up on your friend. Don't quit. Verse 8 tells us what to do. Come close to God. What's that mean? God's not gone anywhere. He just wants you to make the first step. If you take the first step, he'll be right there. Come close to God, and God will come close to you. Wash your hands, you sinners. On all of our hands are full of the dirt of our mistakes in life. All the stuff that we wish we hadn't done. All of our dishonesty and mess. And he says, just let God wash your hands and purify your hearts. Your loyalty is divided between God and the world. So what do? We let God change us. Remove the nail. Would you bow your heads just for a moment? Lord Jesus, I invite you to speak to us. With your heads bowed, I simply want you to begin by taking a step toward God. Just in your mind's eye, just personally take a step a little closer to God. Just make a move toward God. And what you hear him tell you, he's here. And then, would you just open your hands? In your hands is all the filth, all the stuff that you just need to, it's the lust of your life, the evil desires of your life, all the stuff that's in your hands right now. Ask him to give you grace. Ask him to cleanse your hands. And then ask him to purify your heart. It's all that selfishness, all that stuff that you can't do on your own. Thank you, Lord.